In recent years, anime has become so ridiculously popular that it is actually destroying the entire world. Well, maybe not the entire world, but just the parts that are based on actual real life locations. And this is due to the ridiculous amounts of tourism that anime has brought to certain cities. For example, when the popular anime Lucky Star was released, a shrine featured in the anime saw a 300% tourism increase, going from 130,000 annual visitors to 420,000. And in 2016, after the release of the anime film Your Name, the Gifu prefecture, which Your Name setting was based on, saw an influx of over 1.3 million anime tourists. Now, while this amount of tourism does bring in good things like recognition and money, not everything that comes with this popularity is good. Many of these towns have had to deal with things like tourists trespassing, disrespecting cultural sites, and even illegal street racing. And one town even received so many official complaints about anime tourists that the anime's production company had to make a public plea for tourists to stop. However, this hasn't stopped tourists because for some of these tourists, these anime have become so important that in order to visit these sites and create cherished memories, it seems like they have forgotten about the people that actually have to live in these areas. And this was especially the case when fans of one of the most famous sports animes visited this Japanese coastal town. From 1990 to modern times, Slam Dunk has been one of the most popular sports series of all time and has been universally seen as the basketball anime/manga franchise. Slam Dunk has sold hundreds of millions of manga volumes, has held records for biggest initial print runs, and its creator even received an award from Japan's Basketball Association for popularizing basketball in Japan. And this success wasn't just domestic, as Slam Dunk has become iconic internationally, with an example being that to this day, Slam Dunk's first film is the highest grossing anime film in South Korea. This amount of success and popularity garnered Slam Dunk an immense amount of fans, with many of them wanting to express their fandom. From jerseys to shoes to even joining a basketball team, fans will go crazy just to be one step closer to their favorite franchise. And many fans were able to do this by visiting the Japanese town that Slam Dunk was based on. And this town was Kamakura, located in Japan's Kanagawa prefecture. Many of Slam Dunk's settings, from the high schools to the gymnasiums and the surrounding town itself, was inspired by Kamakura. However, out of all these settings, one specific area stood out. In the opening of the Slam Dunk anime, there is an iconic scene where the main character is seen standing in front of a beachside train station. This train station is almost a one-for-one replica of a real-life place named Kamakura Kokomai Station. Before the anime, this station had always been aesthetic, but had not really been a tourist hotspot. However, after Slam Dunk's release, Slam Dunk fans remember the scene in particular and flocked to the real-life location. Thousands of fans were able to take pictures and make great memories. However, while this kind of passion is admirable, it ended up leading to some not-so-great things. While the iconic scene in Slam Dunk involved the main character Sakuragi standing at a seemingly empty road, in reality, the road to the station sees a steady stream of vehicles. This has caused issues as some tourists, in order to recreate Slam Dunk's iconic scene, have ignored traffic rules, causing traffic jams and even causing near accidents. At one point, in the first 8 months of 2023, local police even received 124 separate reports just related to the station crossing. These reports were about incidents such as ignoring traffic rules to even trespassing into nearby properties. And these problems became so bad that the town even hired security guards whose sole job was to patrol the crossway and enforce traffic laws.
I don't give a if you're on the sidewalk. I'm a human being, you're standing around my car. At the beach. You know what I'm saying? You don't think I'm a real guy, do you?
However, while hiring security did somewhat help deal with these issues, it wasn't a permanent fix. And with the city of Kamakura hosting almost 20 million tourists annually, it didn't seem like there can ever really be a permanent solution for these problems. And these problems are not only exclusive to Kamakura, as other Japanese towns have received its fair share of anime over tourism. In 2016, when Makoto Shinkai released his movie Your Name, it quickly became a smash success and at the time became the highest grossing Japanese anime film. Viewers were captivated with everything from its visuals to its story and even its settings. However, viewers may have become too captivated because once they learned that the places in Your Name were based on real-world locations, they started to visit at insane numbers. In Yotsuya, Tokyo, there is a staircase with red handrails that leads to a shrine named Suka Shrine. This staircase was displayed prominently in promotional material for Your Name, and more importantly was featured in the pivotal and emotional final scene of the movie. These factors made the staircase a must-visit place for fans, and many would visit the location taking photos or even reenacting scenes at all hours of the day. However, this ended up causing problems with local residents. Just weeks after Your Name's release, complaints started to pour in, particularly complaints about noise and disruptions late at night and early in the morning. One resident even reported that at midnight he would hear fans shouting at the top of their lungs, quoting lines from the movie. This situation got so bad and the complaints became so numerous that even the production committee for Your Name became involved and actually had to issue a public plea to their fans to please adhere to good manners. However, eventually, as time went by and the initial popularity of Your Name waned, the excessive amounts of tourists died down to a more manageable level. Today, the shrine staircases still see steady tourism, but most are reported to be respectful and the amount of complaints have drastically reduced. However, while the incidents at the staircase were at worst just a nuisance, there was another place called Mount Haruna that faced much more dangerous situations because of tourists.
これぞ本物のドリフト
In the late 90s, the street racing manga/anime Initial D changed Mount Haruna from a popular place for outdoor enthusiasts to a drifting hotspot. This was because upon Initial D's release, it quickly garnered a cult following and created a drifting craze among its fans. Fans of Initial D wanted to emulate the drifting and high-speed races shown in the series, and because many iconic races in the series were held at Mount Haruna, drivers were inspired to go there and race. Initially, these fans were actually able to race pretty freely because at the time, police didn't really care as long as these races were done in remote locations where they wouldn't cause a disturbance. However, because of Initial D inspiring more people to visit and race these sites, and growing concerns over the safety of these races, local police started to crack down. This was accomplished by installing speed bumps into the road, putting up signs warning against racing, and patrolling the mountain roads more often. And these measures actually ended up working because these high-speed races started to die down and almost fully disappear. Nowadays, at most, some drivers will do controlled cruises around Mount Haruna, but not much else. However, while these high-speed races have mostly died down, the love for Initial D has not, and the town in Mount Haruna named Shibukawa City has fully embraced Initial D's popularity. The town holds guided driving tours, open themed cafes, and even for Initial D's 25th anniversary, installed custom Initial D themed manhole covers all over the city. And surprisingly, because of this, Shibukawa has actually seen many benefits, with it seeing both a boost in tourism and its local economy. While anime tourism in other cases has seemed to cause nothing but problems for other towns, for Shibukawa it has actually worked out for them, and this is also the case for a town in Saitama where a famous shrine is located. In Saitama, a shrine named Washinomiya Shrine is a standout example of how anime tourism can actually bring unexpected positives. This Shinto shrine was featured in the 2007 hit anime series Lucky Star as the workplace of the main character's father. And this feature kickstarted one of the earliest big waves of anime tourism, and it changed the town of Washimiya. Before 2007, Washimiya was a town of 38,000 with a dwindling population. However, after Lucky Star aired, fans began to flock to the town and its shrine in droves. In 2007, the shrine had seen around 130,000 visitors, but by 2008, the shrine saw a massive spike of around 300,000 total visitors. Fans from all around came dressed in cosplay or in anime skinned cars, and this spike of such passionate tourists made locals in the shrine's attendance very wary. And initially, this wariness made sense because there were some incidents of misconduct, such as visitors blasting anime music on shrine grounds or treating the shrine more like a photo set than a religious site. However, over time, the locals and the tourists were able to find a working relationship. By 2008, the town started to embrace Lucky Star and even registered its fictional characters as honorary residents of the town. The town even started to organize events, shops began selling Lucky Star memorabilia, and the area saw a slight revival with jobs being created and some tourists even permanently moving in. And for the town of Washinomiya, they became the model of how anime tourism could actually benefit a town. However, while this situation ended up being ultimately a positive, there was another town in Taiwan where tourism negatively affected a town and many of its locals were actually driven out. In Taiwan, there is a small mountainside town named Jifuan, which is famous for its sites, tea houses, and its lantern-lit old street. Jifuan's aesthetics were so beautiful and unique that many visitors have compared the town to Miyazaki's Spirited Away and have theorized that Miyazaki based the setting of the movie off of Jifuan. But Miyazaki has denied this, saying that this was not the case. However, even with Miyazaki's denial, Jifuan's uncanny similarity to Spirited Away has led many of its fans to visit the town in order to experience the quote, real life Spirited Away. And when Spirited Away first started to gain popularity, this initial wave of tourists eventually led to word spreading and the location became a must-visit spot for millions of people. However, while the tourists may have enjoyed visiting Gifu-en, the town and its local residents were not as ready. Up until the 1990s, Gifu-en was a quiet ex-gold mining village, but by 2023 saw nearly 4 million tourists a year cram into the tiny town. And this amount of people had negative effects on the town. Streets were jam-packed with shoulder-to-shoulder traffic, sidewalks and roads wore down extremely quickly, and local services constantly struggled with trash and sanitation. On top of this, while tourism did boost the local economy, many longtime family-run shops were replaced with tourist-centric businesses, causing many local residents to lose long-standing businesses that have been running for decades. This has caused many locals to lament the changes to their hometown, with a significant number moving out of the town and leaving only around 1,600 residents. And many of these residents are not fans of the tourists, expressing their frustration over the changes in the town and how tourists would act. And at this point, this town has been forever changed because of tourism, and it's probably never going back.